to another session of Dante's Den, the online channel of A Dante Production, in which we interview the artists, talk about all things A Dante, and generally love on music, because you know we like music at A Dante, right? My name is LD Robinson, and I'm your host today. We're in the Den. We're actually here at Midtown Recording Studios in Daytona Beach, part of the Leisure Services Department of the City of Daytona Beach. We are here in the Den today with the Divas of Jazz. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you.
We are so glad to have you, and here with me I have Miss Kisha Pugh, Miss Jeanine McAdams, and Miss Joela Oliver. I just want to make sure that I am doing what I am supposed to do. All right, we are so excited. All right, ladies, so I just had the extreme pleasure. When by extreme, I mean absolute, totally abundant, overflowing, fantastic pleasure of listening to you play. And you are in for a treat. So whatever you do this spring, make sure you do not miss the Divas of Jazz. You are in for an absolute divine A Dante production. Really. I'm telling you, their warm-up was like concert. So, we want you all to put it on your list, all right? And we're going to tell you all about that later. All right. So, if you would introduce yourself, starting to my left.
Your immediate.
My immediate.
My name is Jeanine McAdams, and I am the founder of Divas of Jazz.
My name is Kisha Pugh. I'm the drummer.
My name is Joela Oliver. I am the bass player.
Well, welcome, ladies. So, one of my first questions that I always ask the artists is, how did you get into music? And so, Kisha, why don't you tell us? I read your bio, so I know a little bit, but tell us how you actually got into music.
Pretty much, I used to always beat on things growing up as a kid. And my mom bought me my first drum set when I was young, and after that, I kept going from there.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness. I grew up around music all the time in the house, from Dusty Springfield, Sergio Mendes to Elvis Presley and Carpenters. And I went to Sunday school when I was 4 years old, and I saw my Sunday school teacher play piano.
Oh, wow.
And from that, I said, "Mommy, I want to play piano." And I begged her for 3 years. "Mommy, I want to play piano. I want to play piano. I want to play piano." And aside from that, my father was a police officer, but for fun, he had a set of vibraphones in his den, and so to relax, he would play to all the jazz artists and stuff.
Okay.
So I would sit for hours and just listen to him play, and he would play note for note, so he learned it by ear and he taught himself. And finally, when I was 6, my mother brought the neighbor's piano. They were moving and rolled it across the backyard, broke the fence, and I started piano lessons. And I had my first professional gig when I was 14.
14?
Yes.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Where did you play?
I played for just a little cabaret act for this dance school with these kids and stuff like that. And the guy, he said, "I want to keep young people involved," and so I played for that. And then I eventually started playing in church.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Yeah. My parents are pretty musical. My dad played guitar, and my mom, God rest her soul, she sang, and they had me. And I guess when I was young, we had band at church. My dad is a pastor, so we had band at church, and so I started on flute and piano, and just my life has always been musical until one day at church. I feel like all the best musicians come from church, just saying. But I played guitar first, and then one day at church, the bass player left. I just picked it up listening to the background music, and my dad was like, "You must stay." And I was like, well, I guess I'll stay. And ever since then, I've been playing all my life. Yeah.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Wow. So did you have any training, or you just naturally?
Natural talent, thank God. But I went to school as well for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh wow. That didn't happen to me.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that didn't happen. So I'm learning how to play piano using an app. Thank you very much.
Good stuff.
Yeah, a good friend over here, Manuel, has promised to help a little bit. So, Jeanine, you mentioned that you are the founder of the Divas of Jazz.
Yes.
So, what prompted you to start this all-female group? And we should tell you that there are 4. One of the band members is absent today for our interview, but we have 3 here. And so, what actually started? What prompted the idea for Divas of Jazz?
Divas of Jazz was an offshoot of my original all-female group, Audacity. And I've been wanting to do this for years, but I have never been able to find the players. And so when I met Joela, we do a lot of shows together and things like that. And over the summer, Kisha contacted me. And it took me a couple months to figure out, Kisha and I met 20 years ago. And she called me because she was putting together her own jazz group and wanted to know if I'd be interested in playing. And I'm like, I don't know if I have time or whatever, but just keep me posted, and when you need me, I'll be there. So I thought about it, and then talking with Chauncey of Dante Productions, we were talking, and he's really been working hard for a couple of years to get our entity in, but he was thinking more of jazz. And knowing Joela and Kisha's capabilities in jazz, because not everybody can play jazz. But I'm like, wait a minute, oh my God, I have it. And I've always wanted to play jazz. That's my heart. Gospel is my first, but this is my heart. So it just was like this big light bulb over my head. I'm like, wait a minute. And so when I was talking with Chauncey about it, and I just said, we can do this. And I labored over the name for like 2 weeks. And he already had dates for me, and I was like, wait a minute. So anyway, so it just kind of in the last, couple of years, it just morphed over the last couple of years or so. And here we are, and I'm so excited. And this is a great group, and we vibe so well off one another, and we love our craft. And these ladies are beautiful, classy, gifted, and talented. Got good hearts, because we've all been in this business long enough. We're very particular about who we work with. We don't have time for attitudes or egos or anything. And this is the first all-female entity that I've ever been a part of. There were no cat fighting or anything like that.
That's fantastic.
So I just feel very blessed that this has come together like this.
So what prompted you to say yes to the invitation?
It's Jeanine we're talking about. Okay. Let's start there. So that was just, and like she was saying, we play out together all the time. So of course, plus the money was right. Let's be honest. No, she's great. Of course,
That matters.
Yeah.
And you, Kisha? What prompted you to say yes?
We clicked right away because we're both from the Midwest, so that we relate to each other a lot that way.
That's fantastic. So
She said yes.
She said yes. So it's an offshoot of your group of Audacity, you said. And why did you need something else?
There was a call for jazz, because Audacity is primarily R&B, neo soul, gospel, pop, which is great. But
So a broad range.
yeah, it was a broader range. But and there's not to say there's anything wrong with smooth jazz, but we're doing the real stuff too. and the traditional stuff.
Mhm.
And not many people, male or female, in this area play like that.
Yeah.
You know, and so, I mean, in the area, I mean, there's a lot of amazing union musicians and stuff, and these guys have been playing forever and stuff. So I feel like we're just kind of a new generation coming up and trying to keep it going, because it's kind of, in my opinion, fallen by the wayside a little too much. And like I said, there's nothing wrong with smooth jazz, but you know, it's we're trying to keep it real
Yes.
and keep that vibe real. Yeah.
Well, I think the beauty of someone, a group such as the Divas of Jazz, playing traditional music also introduces traditional music to a new generation. And every generation needs to know the roots of what they're listening to. I mean, everyone, you know, they may think that the latest thing is, you know, the latest pop artist, you know, but that is an offshoot of, perhaps in a lot of cases, a whole lot of genres mixed together and, you know, packaged as entertainment. And so realizing that music, that there are certain things, there are certain practices, and it is, just as you said, Jeanine, it is a craft. And so when you love your craft, you work at perfecting it and getting it right and still keeping it unique. Because what I heard today was perfect, perfectly unique.
Oh wow!
Thank you.
Thank you.
It really was. I mean, everything from the piano to the drums to the bass, it all worked together, but it was unique. And so I'm duly impressed, as you can tell. But I mean every word, and I think music should show. It should exhibit the personality of the musician. It should also exhibit the personality of the band or the group. But every single person should show, and I think you all do that very well. I'm very interested in seeing the four of you together and just seeing how that plays out, because the three of you together play it out. That really works.
Well, our fourth member, Alex, who's doing as our woodwind player, and she's just incredible. So yes, we do have a vibe here, and from a musicology standpoint, I'm very passionate about our music and where it comes from. And I was in a group called Sounds of Blackness, and our music is the Black experience.
Yes.
And so from the blues to the jazz to the gospel to the Negro spirituals to the pop to the hip hop to the bebop, you know, all that's included in the Sounds of Blackness repertoire. And I learned growing up and listening, you know, like I'm a big Beatles fan, you know. I love Dusty Springfield, if anybody, don't remember that. Or the Carpenters, I'm a big Carpenters fanatic. So I've been exposed, but I'm also learning Latin music like Celia Cruz. I'm a big Celia Cruz fan. So, but it's important, all that has its roots, pop music, rock, has its roots out of the African American experience.
Yes.
And so, and these ladies here are just as passionate about that as I am, and sharing with other younger people. So we're not only introducing it, we're trying to keep it alive.
Keep it alive.
Keep it alive, because a lot of people are not, and not that there's anything wrong with hip hop or anything like that, or rap or pop music per se, but for the artists, and a lot of artists, if you notice, they come out, they do what the record label tells them to do, but at some point they expand, you know, like Adele or Beyonce or Snoop Dogg, you know, he did a gospel album, you know, and he just performed, I just heard it today, Clark Sisters just released another, and he's rapping on that. So they're expanding and stuff because it's about their heart, whereas the record label sometimes confines you, but to keep that tradition alive, you know, and so sampling, I used to be against sampling, but when I hear samples of old bebop, you know, Charlie Bird Parker or something like that, I'm like, okay, we're gonna be all right. We're gonna be all right.
Somebody's out there.
Somebody's out there.
Somebody's pulling out an old record.
Yeah.
And came across it on YouTube and said, "Oh, that sounds good."
Yeah, exactly.
That'll fit perfectly. I think that is one of the beauties of music, right? One of my uncles is a history professor, and with a focus on African American history. And so we were having a conversation a number of years ago about pop culture, and he said something. We were talking. I was just sort of giving some examples. We're just chit chatting, and he told me, he says, "Wanda, you know that all pop culture is a result of Black culture." He says, because Black culture drives pop culture.
Yeah.
And even when you look at things that happen all around the world, you can pretty much trace back, if it becomes a trend, it has started somewhere in Black culture.
Yes.
After all, we have the Urban Dictionary.
Oh,
And that is the beauty of the creativity that we have. I mean, and I got a couple words in the Urban Dictionary too. I submitted a couple.
Oh, wow. Awesome.
These are things that anybody can submit words.
That's so cool.
Yes, but this is something that is just part of who we are in terms of creativity. And I think music is that one thing that really just expresses universally who we are. And because we are passionate about music and what we play and how we sing and all those things, everyone else really wants to take a part of that, because everybody wants to be a part of something that's passionate. Nobody wants to be part of something that's dry, something that is lifeless. And so what you do as musicians is constantly bring life. Like the party starts when the music starts, right? And so if there's no music, then we're like, what's going on?
As the saying goes, music is life.
Music is life. It really is. So I have a question. We talked about how you got involved with A Dante. And this spring, you have a show at the Ormond Beach Performing Arts Center, March 19th. You're actually going to help A Dante celebrate its 4th anniversary in Florida.
Nice.
And I am so excited about this, and I want to repeat, the Divas of Jazz will be at the Ormond Beach Performing Arts Center, March 19th, 2022, for A Dante Production's 4th anniversary, and they will be providing the musical entertainment. And I would like to know, are you excited?
Yes.
Yes. I'm like scared, excited, but it's a good scare. But yeah, we're all really excited.
It's a great venue. They've been doing a renovation, and so things are, they've been over there taking advantage of the time that, the downtime that we've, unfortunately had during the pandemic. A lot of people, a lot of organizations have found the time to update, renovate, do lots of things where, they could not do. I know there's one of the online churches that I watched. They took the time during the pandemic. They were like, look, everyone is home. We are communicating virtually and holding service. And we've taken this time to renovate, because we don't have people in the sanctuary, wearing out the carpet every day. Right. So we could get some things done. We could paint without people touching the walls, all that kind of stuff. Right. And so some of that has actually been happening over at the Performing Arts Center in Ormond Beach. They have taken advantage of that time, and so it is a several hundred seat venue. And so we are pretty excited about what you're going to do. And so we want you all, we will announce when tickets are available. We want you to get ready to join us in Ormond Beach, March 19th. Just mark your calendars, say, I cannot go anywhere, do anything. I have to be in Ormond Beach then. Take off time from work, do whatever you need to do for March 19th, 2022. And so with that being said, you all have very busy, varied careers. And tell me a little bit about what you do.
Wow. I'm actually a full-time musician, thank God. But I do have a side hustle, let's be honest, because it's been crazy. Shout out to my day job. But yeah, I just gig, I'm freelance, so whoever has my number, word of mouth, hey, I need a bass player, can you come through, can you play? There.
Fantastic.
Yeah, for sure.
Fantastic.
I am also now a full-time musician, and I haven't always been. Before that, I led the double life most of my career, and particularly the last few years, I was a manager at Disney, entertainment manager at Disney for 17 years.
Okay.
And so I did that, and I also, aside from playing jazz, I'm also like a music director bands and music directed shows, theatrical shows. As a matter of fact, I just, today, one that I worked on was Elf at Athens Theaterland, that's closing today. So that was a really great experience. And and I was a minister of music for many years in church and stuff. So yeah, I had the corporate career, but I also had the music career, and thank God I'm landing on the full-time music career now. And I feel very grateful that I'm able to do that now.
That's
So.
fantastic. Wonderful.
I actually do some teaching on the side. I teach beginning piano and drums, and I have a very, very strong passion for teaching kids, especially like how to read music. This is very crucial to me. Teaching how to read music. So.
That's good.
Oh, that's fantastic. I can see where that comes in, and it's very useful
Yeah.
because I'm on 3 chords. I'm on my third one in my piano, and the little app tells you that if you don't get it right, you can't. No, go back.
And I also wanted to say as well, I'm teaching a class as well. I just started working with a middle school class this year, teaching music appreciation.
Oh wow!
And it's very interesting because I am putting in elements of jazz and different types of music, and I let them listen to it and learning to critique it. And real quick, the funniest thing is I've also taught them the different medias we used to listen to music. And they didn't know what a record was, they didn't know what 8-track was, they didn't know what a cassette, they didn't know what a CD was.
Wow.
So I'm providing good quality education.
Now you see it comes through the phone, right?
Yeah.
And my little pod.
Yeah, and I was teaching, I taught them protest songs like We Shall Overcome the Disregard.
Yeah.
So learning some history, because history and everything is involved in music, so, yeah.
Oh wow, that is fantastic. I certainly can appreciate what you do. I've always wanted to learn to play the piano. My uncle used to play piano, and my grandmother had, how your grandparents' house may, depending on where you live. I grew up in the country. And so my grandmother's house always seemed, those were my grandparents when my grandparents got divorced. And my grandmother had this piano, and her house just looked huge to me. And now I think, how in the world she had that big old piano in that middle room? But my uncle would play, and I always wanted to learn how to play. We could always sit down to it, but I never took lessons. And one day, a couple months ago, I was in bed trying to figure out how I'm gonna go to sleep, turn my brain off and work so I could go to sleep. And I said, well, let me see, I want to play the piano, so let me just get this. And I came across this particular app, and I thought, every piano teacher in the world, everyone who teaches anyone how to play an instrument and how to read music, they are tops in my books.
Awesome.
Because it is not an easy thing to think about, constantly putting your fingers in the right place. And to do it the way that I saw you all do it today is amazing.
Well, I'll share a little secret. My fingers weren't always in the right place. I get over sometimes.
But it's found, I think when you work at perfecting your craft, even your mistakes, you know how to cover your mistakes, right? Like I bake cakes, as a hobby, And so when you learn what to do, you can cover up a mistake with a flower.
Yeah.
You can cover up that mistake with, a swirl.
Yeah.
So those are the things that when you perfect your craft and you work at perfecting it, you know you made a mistake, but no one else. They're like, oh, she's good.
Thank you for saying that. Appreciate that.
Like, you just had it. So you said that the Divas of Jazz, your focus is jazz. Do you ever have any intention of doing anything beyond jazz?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And what I love about us, the main thing I said to the ladies is, whatever we do, we're gonna vibe off of one another. Because like what we did today, we just came up with that today, that arrangement, if you will. Because during sound check, I sat with Kisha and I said, okay, I kind of want this kind, and she nailed it, And so we took Van Morrison's song and just made it something almost completely different. And we put different elements in. So yeah, I do see us doing some jazzy versions of pop songs or things like that, but we're gonna stay in that jazz vernacular, if you will, and stuff like that. But definitely, or some neo soul. I love neo soul, which is kind of jazz.
Yes, that's very much so.
Or acid jazz or whatever. So yeah, we definitely just more
Yeah.
different.
Well, I'll be listening.
Okay.
What do you envision for the Divas of Jazz? Apart from your jazz focus, what do you envision? Do you envision the group growing? Do you envision different players at different times and different instruments? Or?
If they vibe and say, I just see Divas, I see us as a small entity, but I see us going places and educating. I see us, opening for other major artists. I see us traveling around the world. I see our recording projects.
Yeah.
I see all of that, and I see all that happening like very quickly.
Yes.
And I don't think we're gonna be in Florida that much longer.
Yeah.
I think if we do this right, and the biggest thing for that is that we all trust each other. We couldn't do this if we didn't trust each other. And I love these ladies so much. I really do. So
I think trust is extremely important in any relationship. And so today we don't have on camera Mr. Dunham, I call him Mr. C. And that is Chauncey Dunham, who is the owner of A Dante Production. And one of the things we talk about in terms of our work relationship is our ability to trust one another with what we're doing and the vision that we have for projects, and whether we can meet the deadlines, but also whether we're going to vibe right, whether we do something right. We are here in Midtown recording studio today that is managed by Emmanuel Cohen. However, one of the things we found is that there has been a good vibe between the A Dante team and the recording with Emmanuel here at the recording studio. It's a wonderful studio here in Daytona Beach. And we have found that works. Our trust for the work that needs to get done, how it gets done, if things go wrong, whether we get it corrected, all those things really matter. And I think very much when you have worked on your craft for a long time, starting very young, with music. You don't put that in anyone's hands, right? I don't need anybody to play with this like it's Play-Doh. Reshaping it and reforming it. No, I have worked on this craft for a long time. This house is a solid house. This is what I do. This is part of who I am. And I think that is essential. And it comes because to have a warm-up session that sounds like you are just doing whatever it is. I mean, I was like, I don't know, did they start? Did I miss turning on the camera or what? It was just that good. So, and I'm not trust me, I'm not stroking egos. I love music. I grew up in a family where people sing all the time. You might hear my mom in the store singing. I don't know why, but that is just something she will burst out in song on the telephone. It is something that happens in our family. My uncle sings, my other auntie sings, so it's not uncommon in our family to have someone, just start singing. And that is, not many of us play instruments, but certainly in terms of singing. So it's not uncommon. So that musical presence all the way through really just, I can have an appreciation for that. And I have an appreciation for what I heard today. I mean, that was really, really, really smooth. Not in terms of smooth jazz. It was smooth. It was just smooth. It was nice, good, and easy. It gelled. It really did. So you're going to be in for a treat March 19th. I'm really telling you. So as they expand, so make sure that you are in Ormond Beach March 19th, because your opportunities to see Divas of Jazz locally, you better catch them while you can. Catch them. You heard it here on Dante's Den. Catch them while you can. So I always like to ask artists this question, and that is, if you could meet one musician, transition, dead or alive, and you could have a conversation with that person, who would it be? Kisha?
There are so many
God,
artists out there. I'm just gonna pick one because there's so many of them. But I like Max Roach. He's a jazz drummer.
Oh, yeah.
And he, I think he was like in his 70s at one point, and he was saying, "Oh, I still have a lot more to learn." And I'm looking at him like, really? He's a legend. He basically plays melodies when he solos. He'll make a melody out of his solo. So I look up to him a lot.
Jeanine? Three?
Okay, I can do that. Well, first and foremost, two of them are gone, unfortunately, and so sad. Joe Sample, love Joe Sample. Grew up on the Crusaders, and George Duke. No, that close to me and him, and his protege, Patrice Rushen.
Oh, nice. Joe?
Well, sorry, keep starting that way. I had to be honest with myself. I feel like the first person I'd love to meet is Esperanza Spalding.
Yes.
She is a female bass player, phenomenal jazz singer, playing and singing. When I was in high school, I was like, senior year, I'm like, man, what am I gonna do after school? I love music. Can women even make it out here in the industry? Can musicians make it in general, in the industry? But I was more worried about, can females make it out here? And my band director showed me Esperanza Spalding, and he was like, look at this. And I saw her, and I was just in awe. She's happening, she's doing it, she's exactly, what I want to do, singing and making records and things like that. So I hope to meet her one day. She's still alive. So I hope to meet her one day. She's definitely my inspiration.
You're welcome. I think that's from a perspective of musicians, being female in an industry in which women have frequently, particularly when it comes to instruments, have been, they like women to sing, right? But there's that, the playing of instruments, like, how do you, I would say this, you are certainly providing a vision for girls in terms of their ability to play and to pick up an instrument, and even women like myself who may not be quite as young, but who have a love for music, who always wanted to play an instrument. You are providing something that they don't see all the time, and that is a band that is all female.
Right.
They don't see that all the time. We don't see that all the time. And I think that that presence is going to carry you very far, because everyone wants to be able to see themselves doing something. And in order to do it, you have to be able to see it. And that is not all, it's you see it in the non-physical first before it can manifest in the natural. But you also, it helps when you see it in the natural. And to see Black women,
Yes.
seeing Black women play music, make music, and show that, hey, you can do this.
You are. Do we have a soapbox in? Because I need to stand on one right now. That is my core belief with this, with my production company, Musician of Virtue Enterprises, and Audacity and Divas of Jazz. For years, and I learned about all the people. Hazel Scott from the 1940s, you know. Celia Cruz, Nina Simone, and even Carole King, you know, and people don't know Natural Woman that Aretha Carole King wrote that.
Yes.
But a woman wrote it, you know, and even today, like Esperanza Spalding and the late great Jerry Allen, or Terry Lynn Carrington, or, you know, these women have been in the business. They have done incredible things. I mean, Patrice Rushen was the first female music director for the Emmy Awards.
Wow.
And the first Black music director for the Emmy Awards years ago. And she's still out there. She's an honorary doctorate. Esperanza Spalding has a doctorate and is considered jazz master. And, you know, it's like, and with hip hop, and this is here's my soapbox. So you have amazing female hip hop artists, but it's the misogyny of the presentation behind these male producers.
Yes.
You know, they don't talk much about Missy Elliott, who also received an honorary doctorate from Berkeley,
Yes.
and has been a prolific producer, female producer in this male-dominated business and industry. And, you know, with women, it's like, you know, the first all-female band I joined, Prince put together years ago. And I had to teach the keyboardist, who's gorgeous, just a sweetheart and gorgeous. I had to teach her how to play. I'm like, I didn't come here for that. What do you mean I got to teach her how to play? I'm trying to learn the song myself. And I got to spend time teaching her how to go, bend. I got front. That's what I do. You know, I was like,
Go back.
really? But it's like, she was beautiful, very smart, she was like one of the smartest people I've ever met. I think she's a neuroscientist now. But I'm just saying, it's like, it was all about the look and the appearance more than anything. And it's like, okay, Jeanine, we need you to lose like 50 pounds. I'm not gonna lose 50 pounds, so I'll die. It's not happening. You know? I'm curvy, I've always been curvy. I'm not model thin, never have been. But, you know, that was more important than my musicianship. And so then I went for years just resenting the novelty of all female. So with Audacity and Divas, I said, okay, don't resent the novelty. There's a way to bust the doors open. And then when we get to where we want to be, then we can open doors and take over the business, male or female.
Yes.
You know.
Yes.
And another friend of mine called me recently. She's a songwriter. And so we're going to work on some things together. But she said, you know, we got to get female power. So I'm all about female empowerment. And, you know, and honestly, I love playing with women now, because now at this point in my career, I'm over feeling like the only girl trying to get on the boys football team. And I'm constantly having to battle
Make your own
against
team.
I'm making my
Yeah.
own team and battling, you know, the attitudes and the egos of guys. And I mean, I've had guys say, I'm not playing with her. I can't play with a girl that plays better than I can. I mean, we've all dealt with that, you know, and who's got time for that? Let's just play music.
Yeah.
So this is my focus, you know, empowering women in this business and empowering ourselves and forging our own path. And so we're gonna make our path. We're gonna make this happen, you know, and be that inspiration to those little girls that wanna play the drums or play the bass, or play keys or play guitar or whatever, you know, so.
Fantastic. Well, I am absolutely delighted. Thank you so much
Thank you.
for joining us in Dante's Den. It has been a pleasure, just an absolute pleasure. And we are going to, of course, remind you that you can come and see the Divas of Jazz March 19th, 2022 at the Ormond Beach Performing Arts Center for A Dante Production's 4th anniversary celebration. Mr. C's going all out. Yes, he is. He's going all out for the 4th anniversary. And we want to see you in the house. We want you to subscribe. Yes, subscribe to Dante's Den. We also want to invite you to go to adanteproduction.com. Visit our P2V Online Concert channel where you are able to purchase concerts, 72 hours, $10 for 72 hours worth of great music. You can play that concert over and over and over. Perfect for your holiday, perfect for that date night, perfect. Whatever you need to do, we have music for you, okay? So, thank you so much, Divas of Jazz. And Jeanine, would you give us tell us all the members, all the names of the members of the Divas of Jazz, and we will close out.
We have Kisha Pugh on drums, Joela JoJo bass, Sister Oliver on bass, and who's not present today, Alex Boudico Shaw on woodwinds, and I'm Jeanine McAdams on piano.
Yay. Thank you, ladies, so much. It has been a pleasure, and we'll catch you next time in Dante's Den. Bye-bye.